I think I have struggled a lot with self-worth and self-belief. You know, when I'm playing a gig, I'm thinking, are they okay? Are they enjoying it? Do they think I'm good enough? Having to prove myself to everybody. That's the biggest battle for me. I was considering giving up, and then I got to play a stadium with 10,000 people. I just thought everything I've worked for has brought me to this moment, and it's all been worth it. The blood, sweat and tears, and I need to enjoy this.
Welcome to The Curious Corner, where we unravel the stories behind our guests through the lens of curiosity. In this episode, I'm joined by Emily Faye, who has spent the past 10 years following her dream of being a professional singer-songwriter. Emily, thank you for agreeing to come on today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. I'm doing good.
The special thing about this episode, if I've done my post-production properly, but you should have heard Emily's music on the trailer intro to this podcast episode. So that gives you a little teaser into what is to come. So yeah, Emily, could you please give a brief insight into who you are and what you do?
Of course, yeah. So I'm a singer-songwriter. That's how I describe myself. I love writing songs and I love singing them. I'm currently working on an album, and I release songs in the usual realm, in the Web3 space, crypto world, and yeah, on Spotify, wherever you get your music. And I've been doing this for about 10 years plus now. And yes, kind of started off folky country and now kind of leaning more into, my album is heading more into kind of the pop indie realm. It's really cool to just try something new every now and again. And I've done country for a long time. So just kind of feels right to be heading that way. And yeah, that's me.
Amazing. And like, what was it about music specifically that has like drawn you to that area? Out of all the things you could do, why music?
Yeah, well, it kind of all started for me when, I played piano since I was 7, and then it got to a point where I was a teenager, so I was about 13, and I wasn't really enjoying like learning all these classical pieces on piano, and I was always like feeling so much, you know, being a teenager is not easy. You know, there's so much going on in your life, and naturally at that age you think you're kind of centered to, this is all about me. You know, you don't realize your parents have lives and things outside of you, and it's like about navigating different relationships and finding yourself, and I found that really difficult. So my piano teacher actually said to me, okay, if you don't want to do these classical pieces anymore, go home and write a song. So I was like, okay. And then I came back the following week with 2. Because, yeah, instead of having a diary, I just wrote my feelings into the songs. And I've done that ever since, and taught myself guitar when I was 14 because I decided I wanted to write on that as well. And I listened to an artist called Holly Rogers, who my auntie introduced me to, and I really loved her, and she played guitar and wrote on guitar. So I decided to learn guitar, and just always only ever been mostly interested in music. Throughout school, I kept music as a hobby. I didn't like kind of do it as GCSEs or, you know, any qualifications until university, when it came to like, what do you want to do? And the only thing I wanted to do was music. So yeah, naturally kind of fell into like a songwriting degree and haven't looked back since.
I also learned that when you were a teenager, you used to walk to school listening to Jordan Sparks. Then I know that you performed at VeeCon on your 30th birthday just before Jordan Sparks.
Yes.
Must have been a very surreal full circle moment, but like, what was that experience like for you personally?
Oh, it was like the best experience of my life. It was incredible. Yeah, I felt like when I was on the stage, I just thought everything I've worked for has brought me to this moment. And it's all been worth it. The blood, sweat and tears have all been worth it. And in that moment, I was kind of just like, I need to enjoy this and have fun, because at the end of the day, that's why I chose, you know, this career, because I love it and I enjoy it. And being on stage and sharing the songs that I've written is my greatest passion. So that was, the coolest moment of my life so far. And meeting Jordan Sparks was incredible. She's so humble and kind and just such a great energy to be around. And she even dedicated the song I used to listen to on the way up to school. to me for my birthday in front of the crowd. Yeah, it was just incredible. I like, it's like one of those moments that you think, was that all a dream? You know, when you land back in England, you think, was that all a dream? Where's the evidence that it happened? Thank goodness they got the videos and the chats and all of these things to show us that it happened, because that was a dream for me, an absolute dream. So yeah, I'm so grateful to Gala for giving me that experience. You know, it was incredible.
In that moment, were you nervous, or were you just kind of like overfilled with excitement?
For me, I think if I've done the practice, if I've done the work, I've got nothing to be scared about, because I've done the work. So in the lead up to that, I was practicing my song every day. I was going to the stadium, picking up a guitar, bringing it home in the evening, practicing the song 3 times, bringing it back to the stadium for the other artists to use, you know, every day, and, you know, in the run up as well. So I was getting used to that guitar that I borrowed, and I was practicing, and doing all of that work made me less nervous, because your body just kind of can go into this flow state. If you practice enough, you go into flow, and you literally, like, you can be thinking a million other things, and your body's just playing the song, and you're like, this is just happening. Okay, cool, great. My body knows it, you know. So because I did that, I felt more relaxed on stage. And also beforehand, I kind of just said to the other guys that were playing as well, I always do this thing where I take a lyric from my song, and it's called Summer Feeling, but it's rule number 1 is just to have fun. And that's like our pre-stage mantra now, because I realised that sometimes you can just get so in your head about, this needs to be perfect, this needs to be amazing, and you put all this pressure on yourself. But actually relinquishing that, right, I've put the work in, and rule number 1 here is to have fun. When I got there, I mean, I was very lucky. I had Gabe, the guitar tech, you know, he literally he tuned my guitar, brought the guitar out for me, helped me get it on. You know, that took away a lot of the anxiety, because he was just kind of in charge of that. And then it was left to me to play the song. And yeah, I just really decided in the moment to just kind of take it all in and enjoy it, because these moments don't come around often, you know, these are once in a lifetime opportunities. So yeah, I was kind of very much like, enjoy it, be present, and just really appreciate how far you've come and all you've worked for to be here, you know? That's kind of what I was thinking at the time.
Yeah. And like, you mentioned, you know, the blood, sweat and tears, but
yeah,
going just to like even get the chance to get a moment like that. But, you know, maybe it'd be fun if you could like speak more to reality of being a musician. And like, you know, some of those main challenges, because as with everything in life, everyone sees like the tip of the iceberg, and they don't see all the hard work and dedication behind the scenes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I first started out, I was working 5 part-time jobs whilst I did music in London and kind of tried to make a name for myself. I'd be going to like every networking event under the sun, to the point where I'd like burn out, and then I'd have to take some time off, or I'd get ill, then I wouldn't be able to sing. And then kind of in the later years, I decided to work smarter. And, you know, I've always worked hard, but also I think it's important to take a step back. If you're burning out constantly, you just have to take a step back and be like, hang on, how can I work smarter so I'm not burning myself out? Because the first thing to go when you're ill is your voice, and that's what I'm using to do my career. So actually the number 1 priority is to look after yourself and get the rest you need. So kind of took a step back, and I was like, right, I need to treat myself like a business. I need to charge for all of the years of work I've put in, for all of the years I spent studying songwriting and studying singing, for all of the money I've spent on my career. It kind of changed for me when I started to do that. And then just as I was doing that and didn't have any other jobs apart from music, COVID came along. So then that was another hurdle to kind of overcome. I did a lot of online shows to kind of keep people's morale up, and did a lot of music, a lot of songwriting sessions. I also kind of started to write personalised songs for people as gifts during that time as well, which I love doing, because you get to learn all the things somebody loves about someone. You know, that's awesome. And yeah, you have to adapt, right? So my fiance and we started our own social media business so that I could, because I was doing my own social media anyway, it made sense to try and output, you know, for other people as well, to help them during that time. So we kind of like adapted and did that. So I had kind of my own business and music alongside each other. And then as it came back again, it was about building everything back up again, you know, building back up your reputation, building back up, oh, we can release these songs now because we've been able to go back to the studio to record them. And obviously during COVID as well, it was very much we need to learn to do things ourselves. So it was very much learning, okay, how do I produce my vocals myself? Because I can't go in with a producer, and you want to keep putting out music and things. So yeah, it was all a learning curve, and that was also when I kind of got into the Web3 space as well. Since then, I've just been really trying to work smarter, and the greatest battle is how to value yourself, what to charge for things, and to have a battle with everyone because everybody wants everything for a cheaper price. And then there's always somebody who's doing it for cheaper than you, but sticking to your guns on what your price is. So yeah, I've learned a lot about that and about how to value yourself. And I get it wrong even now, but I'm definitely a lot better at it than I was pre-COVID. But yeah, and that's been a complete learning curve. And there's no right way to do anything now in the music industry. It's all everybody just trying stuff. You know, try it out. You know, we used to do like a 6-week plan in the run up to the release of a single, then promote it for 6 weeks after. Now music industry people are saying, drop the song, then promote it for 6 weeks after. You don't need all this run up because people want to go and listen to the song. Like a lot of the songs in the charts, you heard first on Instagram or TikTok. So yeah, it's just a minefield, and like anything, it's always changing. It's never consistent. You're just having to like adapt with it all the time. Yeah, hence to why every other day I think, what am I doing? The thing I find super hard, actually, the hardest probably, is having to like push myself in terms of this is why you should, you know, having to prove why you should hire me all the time or why you should buy my song. Having to prove myself to everybody. You know, when I'm playing a gig, I'm thinking, are they okay? Are they enjoying it? Do they think I'm good enough? Am I charging the right thing? There's all these thoughts going on in your head. So that's kind of the biggest battle for me personally, I think, is that. But I mean, it is fun. I do enjoy it. I love singing. I love playing my own songs, especially the covers gigs sometimes drain my soul a tiny bit. But I really love playing my songs and sharing them with the world.
I feel like you might have touched on it, but what advice would you give to listeners who themselves want to be creators?
I would say go where you are valued. At the moment, my music is very much valued in the Web3 space, so that's where I want to be. Obviously, it's great to have it everywhere else as well, but at the moment, I'm kind of putting the time into where I'm valued. And just don't give up, because have you seen that? It's like an image of this guy with a pickaxe, and he's like going along, and then there's the diamond, and he's mining. The diamond's here, and then it's like he's about to give up, but the diamond's right there. That kind of exactly happened for me, where I was considering giving up, and then I got to play a stadium with 10,000 people. So, yeah, I just keep going because the diamonds will come along. And I think working hard and luck is what comes together to create opportunity. But without the working hard, you don't get the opportunity. So it's both kind of coming together, that create the opportunity. So,
okay, let's. I want to transition into another part of your life, which is fitness. Because I know you're big on fitness.
Yeah.
And I know that you ran the London Marathon this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, like, before we even get to that, like, what inspired you to get into running in the first place?
Being outdoors has always been one of my favourite things. I've ran for a long, long time. Did it at school, didn't love it at school. Left school, went to uni, started running a bit in London. But whenever I came home to the fields, I'd be like, I need to get out in those trees and those fields and just be me and the nature. But yeah, the fresh air, the kind of mind, I don't know, it just kind of refreshes your mind, I feel. So I'd say mostly running for mental health, I'd say. and being in the fresh air, and the fact that it's free. You can do it anywhere in the world. It's free. And yeah, the London Marathon, I basically worked with this charity called the Roald Dahl Children's Charity, and I've been working for them for like maybe a year and a half now. And they asked me, would you like to do the London Marathon for us? And I was like, okay. And then they said it's actually the London Marathon MyWay. So you run it wherever you want in the world, and it's all officiated by the London Marathon. So you do it the same day as the London Marathon. And I said yes. So I decided to do that, raise some money for that, and did it. I ran 4 times around a reservoir near my parents' house. Yeah, I didn't have the crowd, the London Marathon crowd, egging me on. I had 2 laps on my own, which were great. I felt really good after those. 3rd lap with my mum on a bike, cycling next to me. And that was really, really hard lap. That was the hardest lap. Then the 4th lap, my friend and her mum joined me running, which was great. And I also had a caffeine bullet, which is like this really good caffeine chew that made me go faster. Yeah, it was a huge test of mental strength, for sure. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I didn't walk at all in my training or in the marathon. Kept going the whole time. Got 4:26. I was aiming for 4:30. Got 4:26. I was chuffed with that. Didn't get injured. So, as far as that goes, it was great. It was a great experience, and it was really an honour to do it for the Roald Dahl Children's Charity as well.
That's amazing. And personally as well, I've got into running within the past year.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, say, when I was a kid, hated the thought of it, like cross country, never wanted to do it.
Same.
Then, yeah, something about when I first moved to London, it was that feeling about I need to get out.
Yeah.
And just turn to running. And it also kind of makes me think of what you're saying at the start with like music, and, if you practice enough, you just kind of, your body enters like a state of, you're doing it, but you're just in flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that also reminds me of running, how you can just sometimes just get stuck in that flow.
Yeah. That's definitely what I was in for the marathon, for the first 2 laps especially. I was really pushing myself to try and get a good time, and then the 3rd lap I was just like, oh, this is really hard. I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to start walking because I won't carry on. I just have to keep going. And then by the 4th lap, it was kind of just flow, and I was just running, and, my friend was like singing and holding my water for me, and it was so great to have people's support. And then like my mum and dad and brother and fiance were at the finish line, and it was just really great. And my friend gave me some flowers and like made me like this edible cookie medal. It's great. And we had pizza, and it was a really great experience. But yeah, in the training, I one of my friends, he coached me through it all. He's an amazing coach. And he said, the training is where you build up the mental strength to get through the day. So he said to me, on the morning of, he said, Emily, you've got this today. You've done all the training. You've aced it. You've trained your body and your mind, but most importantly, your mind, because it is all in your mind. If your mind believes you can, then you can, and you will. So that was a really great reminder from him, for sure. I really appreciated that, because it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. And I think if you're starting out running as well, it's hard, But yeah, that state of flow comes with practice, like you said. And yeah, I just love that feeling of just like running free,
You mentioned within that, obviously, like the training, mental side and physical side, but like for you, what was the most challenging part of the training?
Keeping going. No, the most challenging part. So luckily for me, I started training in February because I only kind of got asked to do it beginning of Feb. So started in February, and it was obviously the end of April. So I had the time. So because you spend so much time running, committing to that is probably one of the hardest things, depending on what job you have. Luckily for me, I'm a musician, so I have flexible time. I have the days. I have pretty much bulk of the days if I want to get the running done. How people did it with a full-time 9 to 5er, running at night in the dark, I will never know, honestly. So yeah, I'd say that was the biggest challenge, the nutrition as well. So eating a certain amount of calories. I think I was on 2,200, which is a lot more than I'd usually eat. But yeah, for me, the challenging parts were if I was tired, if I hadn't really looked after myself or checked in with myself that week and was just exhausted and having to get through this run, if something was sore. So it's little challenges like that come with it that were the hurdles, but just so grateful I didn't get an injury, because that would have been the greatest challenge to overcome. Yeah, the training, the amount of time the training takes, I think, was the hardest thing for me, like knowing I needed to commit to running 20 kilometres that week or 25 or 30. I think the longest I did was 32 before the day. No, 35. I did 35.
What do you feel like you learn about yourself by running the marathon?
That I actually have good mental strength. I would say I definitely learned that the fact that I managed to carry on, to me feels like it was really great mental strength, and it was a lot in the practice. So again, practicing that. I was also doing ice baths as well after some of my runs, which again I think is an amazing mental strength thing. Dunking, getting into an ice bath. Nobody wants to do that. Do you know what I mean? Nobody wants to. But that is a very good, staying in for 2 minutes at least is very good test of your mental strength. And that's what I learned about myself, I think. And it was really interesting learning about the nutrition side of things as well. And yeah, I would say if your mind believes you can, you're more likely to be able to do it. A lot of these things are in the mind, and that's kind of the biggest takeaway that I got, I think.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. I guess moving on, I feel like everyone wants it fast in their 20s, but obviously we touched on earlier that one of your biggest moments to date was on your 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And you did mention then that there was a time where you felt like giving up, like you were kind of picking away with your axe and you're about to give up. So can you speak on that experience a bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think in the music industry and in a lot of industries, but particularly music industry, it's like such a big deal, or it used to be. It's kind of, I do feel it is changing for the better a bit now, but it used to be very much like you're 30, you're out, especially for women. There's a lot of pressure on women about what age they are. It's funny, once you realise it, you notice it, like, for example, in the acting world as well, like on Netflix, right, there's on their Facebook, they put up the ages of what the real age of all the women in Bridgerton are and what their acting age, what age they are in the show is. And I'm like, not seeing this happening with the men. Why is this happening with the women? So in the music industry, it's the same. It's very much like you need to be this age to succeed. That's kind of what the labels all kind of put across. In the past, I think it's changing now. I think it's also very much like image focused. That's kind of where I was on my 30th. I was, coming up to 30. I know a lot of my friends in the music industry were panicking about turning 30, and I was to an extent. But then the fact that this happened on my 30th, and I met people who were over 30 playing Jordan Sparks, I was just like, I think these are going to be the best years yet, actually. And it kind of changed everything for me around that. And I just think everyone's bringing something different to the table. No one person is the same. So there must be room for everybody. And everybody's doing things differently. And yeah, that was kind of the anxieties around that was, will I be accepted as a 30-year-old in the music industry? Now I'm just like, well, I feel 25. So at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares about age? But I do think women are particularly scrutinised for these things, for their looks and for their age in the music industry. So that was on my mind, when I was turning 30. And then for this amazing opportunity to happen, I just thought, awesome. And I'm having so much more life experience, over the past 10 years, so much has happened, and so I've got so much to write about. You know, I'm writing a lot about growth and about all these kind of little nuances I pick up on about different people or different things, experiences that I'm going through. And for me, music's about making somebody feel something at the end of the day. So if you can connect with the wider audience, then that's great. Plus, everybody who's older than 30, they have the money too to spend on music, you know. Or you could be like Taylor Swift, get all the kids in, you know. So yeah, I think that was on my mind, turning 30, such a big deal, you know. And then this awesome thing happened and I was like, I love being 30, this is awesome. So yeah, that massively reshaped all of it for me. I just couldn't believe it. And it just felt like that was meant to happen. In terms of the giving up aspect, I think I have struggled a lot with self-worth and self-belief and why would somebody listen to me over somebody else? You know, what does set me apart? What's my image? What's my vibe? I really struggle with all of that. Always have struggled with that. But now I'm kind of really consciously working on it and consciously thinking about, hang on, you know, no, actually, this is a me thing. This is in my head. Other people aren't thinking or caring about this. They just love the music, you know? So channeling that into my writing a lot of songs about growth. And I think also because things have changed so much in terms of you have to get 1,000 streams on Spotify to then be paid 0.003p per stream. There's no money in that unless you're massive, you know, unless you're making loads of money. Say Dua Lipa though, right? Take Dua Lipa, for example. She then has to divide that by 20 million people. So she probably only gets a tiny amount. Because I'm independent, I don't have to divide it by anybody. But you have to get over 1,000 streams to even earn 0.003p. And I just think that's insane. So I think the financial aspect of it as you're getting older as well, you know, you want to be successful financially. You want to buy a house. You want to do all of these things. So that's definitely a pressure as well. And, you know, especially with your own music, it's a lot harder to make money from that in comparison to playing weddings or, you know, singing other people's songs. So yeah, all of those things were going through my head, and then turned 30 and had the best day ever of my life. Yeah, so those were all kind of in my mind, very like 28, 29, I was thinking about all those things. And obviously the pandemic really didn't help. That like screwed up a lot of things for me, where it had a knock-on effect, like with everybody. It had a knock-on effect that made all of these things happen later. So, you know, I just kind of accept, right, this is my journey, this is mine and my fiance's journey, and this is what suits us. And you just have to remind yourself, put those blinkers on and just be like, with comparison on social media now, it's so easy to compare yourself to what everyone else is doing, and it just makes you feel rubbish. You know, it's so true what they say about comparison is the thief of joy, because whenever I do it, I feel awful. So yeah, I just try and put those blinkers back on and be like, hang on, what am I doing? You know, what's important right now? What do I need to be working on? What can just take a back seat for a second, or 5 days until I've bought that house, or until I've, you know, done X, Y, and Z, or until I've finished the album or whatever. It's, yeah, I think also balancing things that are important as well, like family, spending time with family, spending time with friends, weighing up what level of importance those things are to you, and thinking about what success looks like to you, not what it looks like to anyone else. What is it to you? You know, to me, it's feeling happy, spending time with people I love, writing an album, because that's been a dream of mine forever and I've never done it. And when I played VeeCon, I was like, how can I make next year even better? And I was like, write and finish an album. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I think thinking about your priority list, what success looks like to you, and sticking and reminding yourself of those things, those values and those things that you want to achieve. And so yeah, I think just focusing on what you want to achieve and what success looks like to you sometimes is key. Yeah, in all of that.
I agree with what you're saying. Like, I think half the battle is actually setting those goals for yourself and almost reverse engineering. Like, I have a friend and like always asks me like, what's the dream? And I'm a bit like, I don't fully know what the dream is. And like,
it's a good question.
Like if you know what that is, then great. And then like if you can reverse engineer it and like break up into like what I actually need to do to get to that stage, I feel like that's half a battle. And then the other half is then actually going and executing on it and actually then going to do it. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, it's obviously great to set goals yourself. And even if you drop one of them, achieving the other three is still better than nothing at all, right?
100%. But I mean, that's how I view it. You can't do everything sometimes, you know.
Awesome. So in that moment when you felt like you were about to give up, what was it that kept you disciplined to keep showing up, even when maybe you didn't feel like you were making progress and you weren't seeing results? What was it that kept you?
Yeah, I actually thought back to 14-year-old me, and I thought, okay, why did I turn to music in the first place? Or 13-year-old me, actually. Why did I turn to music, to writing songs in the first place? And it was to help me through feeling something. So I went back to writing from feeling. Basically, also, my producer said, go away and write your truth. And my fiance is like a massive support of mine. He's so, you know, whenever I'm feeling like I can't do this anymore, he's like, Emily, stop. The world needs your music. The world needs you. You're doing it. Look, you know, and he gives me all the evidence that I blank out of my mind that is there, that I have done and I have achieved. And he reminds me of all of that. And that really helps. But turning back to why I started in the first place was what helped, I think. And then writing some songs that I kind of using that method of just, how am I feeling today? What do I want to write about? You know, and reminding myself that those are the songs that people connect with because they're born from a feeling. Even though when you're songwriting, you can really like write yourself out of doing that. Because sometimes you wonder if the song is too in your head and people can't relate to it and it's not personable enough. But actually, if something's born from a feeling you felt, the chances are other people are going to feel it too, and are going to connect with it. So yeah, that's what I did. I came up with Fearless, and that's still one of my favourite songs I've ever written. And that was also kind of the beginnings of trying to explore a different vibe for my music. And it was so fun doing something else. You know, I was very static in one genre and I just didn't want to be in a box anymore. And I was like, nah, I want to break outside the box and try something new and see what happens. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens when it's released on social media and everything else on the platforms, on the DSPs. It's gone down great on Gala. And I'm really looking forward to getting the people that have bought my NFTs, getting their input on which songs they think should make it on the album and stuff like that. So yeah, got lots in the pipeline. But I'd say going back to the basics and stripping it back to why you started in the first place is a good place to start when you're feeling in that kind of zone. And also having somebody that advocates for you and believes in you. Yeah, having that support is really valuable, I think, as well. My parents also have done nothing but support me when it comes to music, which is really, really rare. So many people I know have parents that don't support their dreams and they're like, you need to get a real job. But are you making a living from that? And yeah, especially people who have creative passions and jobs. So yeah, I think I'm very lucky in that respect. Having the right people around you, I think also helps.
What is something that you look back on now and wish you understood earlier in your 20s?
I think if I'd understood earlier that I needed to work hard, but work smart as well, that would have been more beneficial to me in terms of not burning out and getting ill because I'm doing so much and doing so many late nights and all of these things. And also not pleasing people and doing what everyone else wants me to do, or what I think other people want me to do, and doing what I need to do and want to do a lot more. That's certainly what I've been learning in my 30s, late 20s and 30s, that I need to do what I need to do, what I want to do way more, because I have been guilty of pleasing other people and doing what other people think I should do instead of doing what I want to do.
Okay. And then finally, what does being fearless mean to you?
For me, being fearless means doing what you want to do and not caring what anybody else thinks. That's the ultimate definition of fearless for me. Doing what you want to do and not caring what anyone else thinks about it. Just doing it anyway. For me, that's the goal of fearless, definitely. Yeah. What about you? What does it mean to you?
What you're saying about blocking out all the noise and because everyone has an opinion, and especially on social media as well, there's so much noise in today's world. Yeah. If you can just ignore that noise and just be focused on yourself, and just wherever you want to go, whatever the dream is, you just chase after it and you just go, and you don't allow yourself to get put off or distracted or talk yourself out of something that deep down is inside of you and that you're really passionate about. Yeah. You don't allow those external voices to get in the way and tell you no.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean about in the song Fearless, It's exactly believing in yourself no matter what anybody else says. Yeah.
Love it. I think that is a great way to end this episode. So thank you once again, Emily, for your time and for the conversation. For people listening, if you want to follow Emily's journey closer, then all the links to her socials and her music will be in the description. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us, to leave a review, and to connect with us on our socials.